I think deep down inside, he truly would want a child one day. And I think that if that's what he really needs and wants in his life, I'd rather walk away. Don't waste my precious years. Go have your baby. Go find your baby mama.
It's kind of rude.
Yeah, he's not in it for the long haul. Honestly, I think they're both not in it for the long haul.
Whoa.
Oh, damn.
So Georgi and Darcey are finally talking about their issues. But this conversation might not have a happy ending. You see, it's not just Darcey and Georgi's marriage on the line here. Stacey and Florian's is on the brink too. So let's rewind to the start and join them at the studio as they're getting ready to film their segment. Darcey tells us that she's nervous but hopeful.
You know, this is what I'm here for. I want some resolution with Georgi and I want to see what our future might look like because I don't want to waste my precious years. I got a lot of Darcey left in me.
Look, Darcey and Georgi have been talking past or just outright avoiding the issues in their relationship. But they won't be able to do that today. Now, we know that they are still together, and back at the house, they have been sharing a room, although they haven't been intimate for over 6 months. So Sean wants to know how their relationship is really doing.
He's still holding back a lot. There's no resolution. I don't know what the future holds.
And we're still trying to find the best way to communicate. We still have issues with that.
Darcey calls it an avoidance mindset. She says that they know they have major issues, but they're scared to talk about things too deeply because if they do, everything might just fall apart. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that's not particularly healthy. Now, the good thing is they do both agree and realise that they need some clarity on things, particularly on the topic of children. Remember, Georgi, since coming back from Bulgaria, has been thinking more and more about having kids.
Before Bulgaria, I didn't think about having a child. And then I started thinking about that. Maybe one day I'll regret, I don't know. Especially when I know I love Darcey.
Now, he does say he isn't sure if he really wants a child or not. He just wants to consider all options because he doesn't ever one day want to regret things. But, he says, my love for Darcey and of course knowing that she can't have any more kids makes me, for now at least, lean towards not having children. But the thing is, Darcey doesn't agree. She believes that he's just delaying the inevitable, that deep down in his heart, he knows what he really wants, and it's not her.
I think deep down inside, he truly would want a child one day, and I think that if that's what he really needs and wants in his life, I'd rather walk away.
Look, these two did talk about kids and the fact that Darcey can't have any more kids before they got married. At the time, Georgi was adamant that he had no interest in having any kids. So why the change? Like, could this be an easy way for him to let Darcey down gently, a way to get out of the marriage without looking like the bad guy? Well, Darcey believes that that's precisely what it could be.
And he's, got his work visa, he's got his papers, and I feel like now that he's got all of that, like this relationship has been very convenient for him.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamics in the relationship have changed, and Georgi doesn't need Darcey anymore. Like, some of the cast actually believe that Georgi currently has one foot out of the door. But Julia reminds them that you can change your mind about having kids. I'm a prime example of that, she says. Now, it's at this point that Stacey and Florian are invited onto the stage. Remember, anywhere that Darcey goes, Stacey has to follow. And the first question that Stacey gets asked is, what do you think about this whole situation that your sister is in?
It's concerning. It's very concerning.
When you say concerning, do you think it could be an exit strategy for Georgi?
I would have put it past him.
Really?
Now, trying to dig a little deeper into what Georgi's true motivation may be, Yara asks a good question. If you were to have kids, she asks him, would you want them specifically with Darcey or anyone? Now, to that, Georgi's response is that's one of the many things that he's unsure about. Like, if Darcey were to want kids, he says, well, that would be the ideal option. It would make everything a lot easier. Now, the problem is, given that he knows that biologically isn't possible for her, he's hoping that they might still be able to explore other options.
There's always ways. There's
Surrogacy, but it was someone else's eggs, and I feel like for me, I don't want to be on that journey. I have 2 of my own.
Georgi would prefer surrogacy over adoption, but Darcey wouldn't. She tells us as she doesn't have any of her own eggs left, The baby would have to come from another woman's egg anyway, and I don't want that. I don't like the idea of a baby being biologically Georgie's, but not mine, she says. And, you've got to respect that. It's definitely not for everyone. Now, Georgie does go on to remind her she has 2 biological children of her own anyway, and I love them, he says. If we were to have a surrogate baby, alright, biologically it wouldn't be yours, but you would learn to love the baby in the same way that I love your children, he says. Now, it's at this point, having listened to all of this discussion, that Julia comes up with an interesting but very f***ed up suggestion.
Can I ask if maybe Stacey have an ex? Did she allow to give ex to Darcey? You have the same DNA.
I mean, can you imagine? That would take the weird dynamic between these couples to a whole new level. Now, thankfully, they do all agree that even if that were to be possible, it would just be too weird, even for them. So, with that out of the way but not entirely resolved, it's time to move on to another topic. Their trip to Bulgaria. Remember, while Georgie was worried about how Darcey would dress, that turned out to not be an issue at all. Everything went well, until of course the fight about money. That fight changed everything, and in fact, it seems to be an issue that, as yet, still hasn't been fully resolved.
I walk there and tell me, take my money and go. She accusing me that I'm with her for the money. I'm not with her for money.
I don't think you would have been with me if I didn't have anything. That's for damn sure.
So Georgie didn't like the fact that the twins were basically accusing him of being a gold digger, and he retaliated by saying, there's no gold to dig here. You guys are broke anyway. Now, when pressed on that, he does backtrack slightly and say he only said that out of anger. He said it because he doesn't agree with the way that Darcey spends her money on things like clothes, which he doesn't see as a good investment. But Stacey challenges him on that. She says that their issues go back way further than this one argument.
Did you tell everybody what he said the day after you got married?
The day after we got married, he said, if we get divorced, you have to support me for 10 years. I don't need his money.
Look, talking about getting a divorce right after getting married is bad enough. But to then remind your brand new spouse that they're legally obligated to take care of you in case of a divorce is even worse. Now, according to Georgie, that was just a giant misunderstanding. I was just clarifying what the legal situation would be, not that that's what I would do, he says. I can take care of myself.
But she was so worried that she needs to support me for 10 years. I say, I'm all good in my own. Even
You are
if
lying
not
right now.
together.
Stop. That is so disgusting that you're doing this right now.
Yeah, in all honesty, the truth is probably somewhere in between. But the thing is, money isn't the biggest thing that they stand to lose in this marriage. More valuable than money is the time that they're both wasting. If this is doomed to fail, Darcey says, then we should probably get it over and done with as quickly as possible. I don't want to waste more time, she says. But Georgie responds to that by reminding her, you're not the only one getting older. If you're wasting your time, then I'm also wasting my time. And that seems to really piss off Darcey.
Then go. I ain't holding you back. Don't waste my precious years. Go have your baby. Go find your baby mama.
It's kind of rude.
Yeah, this isn't anything new, is it? It's not exactly shocking anymore that Darcey is once again telling Georgie to leave. It seems to be her go-to default response every time they argue. Now, the main difference this time is that right by Darcey's side is Stacey, and Stacey is encouraging Darcey to end her marriage. Stacey is very vocal and adamant that Darcey would be better off with the marriage being over because Georgie, she says, isn't in this for the long haul anyway.
Yeah, he's not in it for the long haul. Honestly, I think they're both not in it for the long haul.
Whoa.
Oh, damn.
Whoa, what again is that?
We don't even live together anymore.
This is the perfect example of projecting your own feelings onto someone else's relationship. These two have a habit of riling each other up and getting more emotional when they're together, don't they? They feed off each other's energy. And when both of them are having marital issues, it means that they end up taking on each other's problems as well as their own. Their problems become doubled. So what exactly are Stacey and Florian's marital problems? Well, this update that she gives us is actually quite sad to hear.
He's gone. He just left. After the tell-all, he finally got a job. He moved to Connecticut, doing his woodworking, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, the words coming out of her mouth might say that she's happy Florian has found a job that he loves, but the tone in which she says it doesn't seem to match. Now, it turns out, since the last resort tell-all, Florian has become a US citizen, and shortly after getting all his paperwork, this job opportunity apparently fell in his lap. So since then, since taking on this job, Stacey and Florian have only seen each other 3 times in 5 months. I mean, that's not exactly great for any marriage, is it?
Why don't you go back to live with Stacey?
I don't have job there. I tell to her, can do back and forth soon the lease done, and you can move here.
Florian might think that they have a plan going forward, a plan where they can soon be together, but Stacey disagrees. She feels abandoned, and more than that, she thinks that the timing of his big move is suspicious. Why is it that this big move, this dream job, only came about after you became a citizen, she asks.
I feel frauded and I feel like I'm being used.
This is a funny thing, but, you know, Stacey and I got a little closer together since these dynamics have changed, and it's kind of like it flip-flopped.
It really does seem like these two are egging each other on, doesn't it? And that isn't exactly good for either of their relationships. Now, getting back to Georgi and Darcey, who let's not forget whose segment this is meant to be, talk turns to their sex life, or more accurately, their lack of sex life. These two haven't had sex in 6 months, and last night's attempts to rectify that turned out to be a massive fail. Now, when asked what the problem is, they both kind of blame their lack of intimacy on each other. But Darcey wants more.
I need a little something more. I need to feel emotionally safe in this relationship, and I don't feel like I get that from Georgi.
Their lack of intimacy has Darcey wondering whether or not Georgi is cheating on her. I'm genuinely suspicious, she admits. Like, I see Georgi with my own eyes flirting with other women when we're out. Now, Georgi denies this. I'm not flirting, he says. I'm just networking. Now, since there's no evidence that he's ever crossed the line, he fully maintains that he's done nothing wrong and Darcey can't prove otherwise. But you've got to say, networking or not, if it leaves his wife feeling this insecure, it probably isn't great for their marriage, is it?
I understand networking. I think if he wants to do that, he has to include Darcey and make her feel seen in those moments. I think if she felt recognized and seen, you could probably talk to whoever you wanted to.
That might be true, right? But right now, Darcey doesn't feel seen and she doesn't feel secure in her marriage. Look, the truth is, with their tell-all segment now coming to an end, both Darcey and Stacey leave here today with nothing being resolved. Both of their marriages appear to be on the brink. Neither of them know if their husbands actually want to be married to them anymore. And in fact, Stacey has a sad prediction.
Do I think Florian's in this marriage for the long haul? Absolutely not. And I feel like it could end up in a twin divorce, like the first time.
I don't necessarily think that that's a coincidence. Like, given that we know they both like to get involved in each other's problems, they exacerbate each other's problems, is it any wonder that both their marriages crumble at exactly the same time? I mean, yes, admittedly, both of these marriages do have massive issues. But from the outside looking in, it seems like the twins get in each other's heads and just make things worse. So that being the case, these marriages may already be doomed. But wouldn't it be really sad if both marriages failed because both sisters convinced each other to give up?